Hi, I'm Lisa Von Drasek, and I am the curator of the Children's Literature Research Collections of the University of Minnesota, and welcome to Read This Book. This episode of Read This Book is a one-book recommendation by...
Hi, my name is Kimberly Clarke. I'm the education librarian at the University of Minnesota.
Okay, now I have to ask, what does that mean?
Oh, well, sort of like a catch-all. I do a lot more than just education. I work with folks in the curriculum and instruction program and also organizational leadership and policy development. I'm also the communication studies librarian. There's a couple more. I'm also the women's studies librarian and also the GLBT studies librarian.
So that's a big catchment.
Yeah.
So what it says to me is you've got a lot of interests and you got your work in a lot of different areas.
Right.
So I'm curious, what brought you to Anne Bishop, Written in Red?
Well, I really like paranormal stories. I really like things about shapeshifters. I like mysteries. A content warning. This book is also very violent and there's some mutilation that happens, but it's all in service of the story. So I like the world building, and there's some elements of mystery. So I think that her series brings those all together.
Are there read-alikes that people might know if they don't know Anne Bishop, or is she just her own person?
Well, she kind of writes mostly about magical worlds. She has another series that I never really got into. I'm sure it's great, but it didn't work for me. I guess maybe a close approximation might be Ilana Andrews. It's a husband and wife team that are part of the Kate Daniels universe, or write the Kate Daniels universe.
We're going to define some terms.
Okay.
So I'm familiar with paranormal,
Yeah.
which means like psychic abilities and...
More kinds of shapeshifters, people with magic.
So shape-shifting, you mean I could turn into a wolf?
Yes.
Or things like that.
Yes, you would be a wolf.
And the universe building, the world building, for people who aren't into speculative fiction,
Sure.
it means that it's not our world. We're in a whole new way of life. There's a cultural building here.
Yep.
The people, language.
Food.
So if you're interested in that, that's the whole world building.
Right.
And you may notice, I think for the first time, that we have it up on my iPad because you read it as a digital.
Right. So I'm a heavy user of Minneapolis Public's e-reading collection, and this was a book that I read online in my Kindle. I didn't bring my Kindle because that would have been not as pretty. Those are black and white, so you get to see the pretty cover.
What I was thinking about, is there a romance in there?
It's got everything. It's got murder, kidnapping, a mystery, a happily ever after, shapeshifters, magical animals.
And is this the first of the series?
Yes, this is the first of the series. There are in total 5 books all told, and then she's got another 2 books that are set in the same universe but with completely different cast of characters.
And we'd asked the librarians to bring a book that they would recommend as a gift.
Yes, totally.
So this is the one that you're saying, could it cross over to teens?
You know,
if you're not the parent, you don't want to be that person?
Probably not.
Okay.
It's kind of violent.
So this is mature audiences.
Yes, definitely, yes.
Mature audiences, Anne Bishop, Written in Red, first of a series. So tell me, can you give me some information about why this is a series that you would recommend?
The world is so big, and there are so many parts to it, so many moving pieces. So I mentioned earlier it was paranormal, so there's some shapeshifters. They're called guards. So there's a panther guard, there are panthers that shift into humans and vice versa. There's a wolf guard, a crow guard, bear guard, and so on. Then there are also these elementals, and those are anthropomorphic seasons. There's winter, there's spring. Then they have these magical ponies with names like Hurricane and Thunderstorm, and you can kind of guess they bring the weather. And then we have the central character in the first 5 of the series, whose name is Meg. She didn't always have a name. She had more of a designation. And this really is a story about her learning how to become a person. Part of the mystery, and I hope people don't mind spoilers, is that she kind of grew up in this facility, and she was a very special kind of human because she was able to speak prophecy under certain conditions. And this is a content warning. People would pay to slice her skin with a very sharp razor, and under the right conditions, she would tell the future. And she had very special skin. It was apparently the right kind of skin for doing this sort of work. And people would come from all over and pay thousands of dollars. The sad thing is about blood prophets, Cassandra Sangues, how Anne Bishop talks about them. They only have either room for 1,000 cuts on their bodies. So she's constantly throughout the series trying not to cut herself, even though her group is in danger or she feels something is maybe coming down the pike and she wants to learn more about.
Because it's not an endless gift.
Right, right. There's definitely some repercussions. So how it all starts is it's a cold and snowy night. We think the world is kind of set very much like actually where we are in Minnesota. It's supposed to be really close to this large natural lake called Lake E2. So that's kind of where the action starts. So she's running, it's a cold and snowy night, and she runs to this courtyard, and that's where all the shapeshifters live. And it's where they do commerce, where they have the seat of government, and also where they learn to work with humans and be around humans. So it's a bookstore called Howling Good Reads, and there's a gym called Run and Thump. I mean, this is very sweet. So she gets there, and she's looking for a job. She's looking for safety, but she can't really say all of that. So the shifter that first encounters her is kind of a love interest later on, but it's very, very G-rated, this love interest, because it's really not about that. And so she ends up working there, but the shifters, who can shift into wolves and other types of animals, they know that there's something really different about her. They can smell that she's different. She's not a typical human who would be prey. She's something else because she is this blood prophet. So it's a big secret, and then it comes out that these people are hunting her because they want her back. She makes the money, and there's a whole other side story about these facilities where these blood prophets are housed and kind of stored. It talks about their business model. And you also kind of hear about how she decided that this was a time another blood prophet cut herself to give her this prophecy, to say, Meg, you can actually run away. You can run away. Your story is going to end happily. Just be careful. Somebody's going to try to kill you. He didn't kill her. He just got mad at her. Anyway, he's a wolf. So as it turns out, as these people are hunting her, she's not just learning how to take care of herself, but learning things about what kind of music she likes, what kinds of food she likes to eat, because her surroundings were very constrained. So it's really kind of her journey to being a human, and it's also the shapeshifters learning that she's a special kind of human.
And it's a coming of age story.
It kind of is. You don't really know exactly how old she is, but she sort of has the affect of someone who's very young because she's been so closed off from everything. I mean, her whole world is images, training images. So if she's shown an image of something and it comes up in her prophecy, she can more easily interpret that for the buyer of that prophecy.
So this book is a page turner.
Yes.
This book is a book that when I end the first one, I'll want the second one right away.
Right away. And you can.
And it's available for me to download from my public library. So probably this goes to anyone. So check in your public library. And because of that, I can read how many?
Well, there's 5 in the original series that has the same characters. And then she has 2 other books in the same universe with a totally different set of people.
So I'm ready. This is going to be my holiday reading because I am ready to delve into something completely different.
Yeah, hold on to your hat.
Oh, that's all we have time for. Thanks for being here today.